Hey HBs, this is Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while giggling, telling random stories, and treating the characters of each book like they're real. Oh my gosh, I gotta be honest with everyone, things are nuts over here. In mostly a good way. One of the biggest and craziest things happening right now is that I'm in the process of closing on a new house. If everything goes to plan this week, I'll be moving at the end of May. It's wonderful and it's daunting and all the things that I think usually come along with a time in your life when you move all of your possessions in the whole wide world. Wow. So I'm gonna do my best, but I might need some patience in early June while things like, I don't know, getting my internet service switched over to the new place is happening. Thankfully, I've got some amazing friends like Nat and Sara who will offer up their shared love of romance and their brilliance to us all. Patrons, this week is fantastic for you, I'm not gonna lie. Tomorrow, you get Aaron and my hour-and-a-half-long recap of 365 DNI this day, which was a confusing treat from start to finish. It may have caused Aaron to find Jesus? Listen, let's just say that it had an impact. And you can enter to win one of 5 advanced copies of author Lainey Davis's newest book in audio. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. If you want in on any of this action, head over to patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast. But now, here's your first installment of Nat and Sara's recap of The Billionaire's Wake-Up Call Girl by Goddess Annika Martin. Patrons, you get the whole thing in full today. Here we go.
Clapping with Natalie.
This has been... Hi, Sara. Listener, I'm here. This is Natalie. We're here. We don't have any chaperones.
There's nobody here watching. We are not being observed. We're not being monitored.
No.
It's just us. We could do anything.
Yeah.
We could do anything. We're not going to do anything.
We're not. We're going to just talk about a book. We're going to do that normal thing that we do.
We're going to talk about a really good book.
Yeah, we are. So in case you didn't hear any of the times I said it because we weren't recording yet, I, Natalie, am here with Sara Whitney.
Natalie's being very nice because she said we weren't recording. Sara wasn't recording. We had great banter, though. It was great.
Okay, here's the thing. It was unclear. We don't have chaperones. We're lucky this is happening. But I am excited about this book. Sara and I were talking about recording an episode, and she was like, I just read Billionaires? Millionaires.
How dare you? He's a billionaire.
Oh, okay, excuse me. Billionaire's Wake-Up Call Girl by Annika Martin. And I had already read it. So here's the backstory of how I know about this book. Back when Ask a Badass was still a thing, we had Jen on, who is the amazing creator of Post Pour Company candles, who has that whole line of HB candles that are really amazing and smell really good. Here's one right here called It's on TM.
Love it. And it is authentically burned. Listener, I need you to know that this clearly is a loved candle.
This has been used.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing an interview with her for Ask a Badass, and she was talking about this book and about how she loved it. And when you read this title, you don't think it's going to be good. Mm-hmm. Well, at least I didn't.
Sometimes a book like this, with a title like this, you think the entire premise is the title, and that's all it's going to be. It's going to be this kind of hooky, kind of showy... It's going to be a one-trick pony. And so I don't know if you, like me, were just astounded at how good this book was.
I had some little gripes about some word usages, I guess.
I can't wait to hear it.
There was some little gripes, but like a romp. It was funny. There's some laugh out loud funny parts of this book that I just really loved. Both of the characters, I think, had pretty well developed stories, which again, you think, it might be more kind of surface level book stuff in because the cover, it's not a great cover for me.
It's,
if you judge
fine.
books by covers, it's fine.
It's an illustrated
It's an animated cover. Animated, illustrated. Wow, look at both of those. I guess were right, but I don't know. I guess I was Judge Judy about this book when I first picked it up, but then I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I just read it again. I loved it again. I
was just expecting something fun and light, and what I got was something that had a lot more depth than I expected in the very best way. I'm actually worried about talking about this because I feel like I'm just going to croon, "It was so good," over and over and over, because but you know how some books you just click with it. You click with the vibe.
You read it at the right voice. Time. It was,
It just, I have read books that I enjoyed, but I didn't just immediately fall into the wavelength of the book and the writing and the voice. This one just pulled me in immediately, and I got it. It got me. This is such...
I don't know anything about this author.
Was such a good book.
Do you know anything about this author? I know nothing.
I do not. I know that she has a series of Billionaire books. I also don't generally like a Billionaire story. Because they tend to be, they all are just kind of like domineering assholes. That I shouldn't say that. Hashtag not all billionaires. But that's kind of what I was
but like in the real world, I bet it is hashtag all billionaires.
Try dating Jeff Bezos in the real world. Try.
You know what? I have. It's just hard to do. It's hard to make the connection.
He keeps going to space. It's really hard to catch him.
Really long distance. I just can't deal with it. So we have 5 books, it looks like. No, I'm sorry. So many books.
Yeah, no, there's tons.
Most of them are Billionaire books, looks like. There was just 5 on the main page. That's where I got this.
I just know she sequel baited the hell out of me at the end of this one with she sends the best, that's jumping way ahead, but she knows how
delivery catsuit.
She is going to be delivering sandwiches in her catsuit to her billionaire ex-boyfriend's neighborhood. What if he calls for a sandwich and she has to deliver it to him?
What if in New York City he saw you delivering sandwiches and then knew it was you and then called your sandwich delivery because of course he knows how to find the sandwich delivery company, Sarah.
The odds seem really low, but I'm guessing this is not the book we're here to talk about, but it is a book I'm going to read next. I'm going to be honest.
Great. I'm excited. I want to hear about it. Maybe I'll read it too. Actually, no, the book I'm going to read next is a New Zealand rugby book because it just came out today. Okay, you ready? We're going to talk about this book. So we start off in Lizzie's brain, and you find out immediately, Annika does not beat around the bush. Lizzie is only in this job for money. She's at her job, and she's like, there were red flags. I chose to ignore them because of money. You know what I mean? So she's deep in this presentation with her
And it's clear that this workplace is everything she is not. This workplace is rigid, cold, joyless. Everybody is stressed and competitive and scared. You're not allowed to eat anything stinky. No stinky.
There was a big emphasis on microwave popcorn in this book, which I thought was very odd.
Okay, I work in a workplace.
Yes.
I can think of maybe 5 times in the last 15 years that I've noticed microwave popcorn. Now, I did lose my smell to COVID for 14 months, so it's possible they snuck some past me, but we were all working from home then.
I worked in a workplace for like a decade where 90% of those weeks somebody was burning microwave popcorn or overcooking it, or, you know, like, I love popcorn. It's probably one of my favorite snacks, but like, the basis of all workplaces is microwave popcorn. That I did not necessarily agree with.
Wait, but you're Team Theo on this, then. If people are just burning popcorn left and right around
I might be Team... Okay, but I also worked in a workplace where somebody microwaved fish. And somebody made like a pan-fried salmon patty at their work job.
Straight to jail.
I mean, I'm a super smeller. Like, I'm very sensitive to smell. So, like, I love a popcorn. I eat tons of popcorn. I do not base my workplaces on whether or not I can eat popcorn or microwave popcorn.
But it becomes a thing with Lizzie that he won't even... Mr. Drummond is the head of this.
Popcorn saves the world at the end of this book.
It does.
Popcorn is the reason.
It does. Popcorn and goats.
Yeah. True. Okay, so she refers to this workplace as like a labor camp. She refers to like a gulag. Yeah, I had to look up what a gulag was, and I was like, oh, maybe not. Okay, so she is, but like already you get the sense of humor because she's trying to present this. She's on the marketing team. Would she get this job in real life?
No. She won an award for her Instagram for her bakery. So she says she got hired because she won this kind of social media award. But no, she doesn't have the marketing background that I would think a company like Vosamir.
I mean, she's just an assistant. I mean, this whole book is kind of justice for admins. You know what I mean?
Very much.
So she is an assistant in the marketing department, and they kind of tasked her with coming up with improving their Facebook insights, basically, and their website performance and things like that. Which, again, if you know anything about websites, I'm doing marketing as my job, and that's not what my background is. You know what I mean? So it's like, a lot of people, if you know how to do it, you know how to do it. So whatever. Yeah. But she basically is presenting it to this person who she's like, this person is going to take all my ideas and pass them off. But she's like, I don't care, because as long as I stay here until next Friday, I get a $12,000 sign-on bonus as an admin.
Where is that job? Where can we all get that job?
Truly.
I could do anything for 30 days.
Correct.
So,
yes, exactly.
And I love that she's described herself while she's there. She's wearing something a stylish female detective would wear. She's in a gray pantsuit that she just feels like a stylish lady detective.
Stylish lady detective. I mean, I could go for that.
Yeah. It's crisp. It's functional.
Yeah. Yeah. But she does talk about, she has like 2 buttons undone, but it's like she's not in a revealing outfit in any way. But basically she's presenting this, and she's kind of getting almost like gaslit into the idea that it's not, that the ideas that she just came up with are not good, that the performance that she is actually seeing does not matter. And she's like, but like, you asked me to do this and it succeeded. Basically, she says, oh, what did she say? Like, she asked for an interim report and I gave her a handful of peanut shells with the salt licked off.
I think that's when I fell in love with the book. It was the salt licked off. Perfect.
Yes, exactly. So there's lots of things that like we're in this conversation, and Sasha, who's her boss, who is basically like, okay, well, we can present it, but you're gonna have to do it. You know what I mean? So like, she basically thinks that Sasha is throwing her under the bus.
Yeah, she understands that they're about to go present this to the boss, Theo Drummond,
mythical Theo Drummond,
angry god of the workplace. Everybody fears and loves him, and she's gonna go fall on her sword. She knows that he's not gonna like it. Sasha's gonna blame her, but she's just like, whatever. I'm just here for the bonus. Do whatever you want to me. Exactly. I'm just here for the bonus.
Yeah, and she says to Sasha, like, I thought you liked to present solo, and, but then Sasha's like, no, you have to do this. But basically, so they go up to his office, and it, like, gets grayer and darker the farther up the elevator you go.
Like thunder's booming.
Yes. You go to the top level, and there's like a harried admin that's like there at the door, and she's like, do you have an appointment? And so they go in, and he's in like a dark penthouse office.
Okay.
Like, it's dark in there.
My picture of penthouse office is just floor to ceiling windows and constant light, but it sounds like it's a gloomy cave. So it was a disconnect. Maybe not all penthouse offices are like that. I don't have a lot of experience in high-rise penthouse offices in New York.
Me either.
We are very Midwestern, where I am. Nat at least has been around.
We're in the flattest of flat. There are not nary a skyscraper to be seen.
Our high rises are 5 stories.
True. It's true. The wind might knock you over if you get any farther high up there. So they go into this dark office, and Lizzie's just like wandering around, like poking around and stuff, and she doesn't see anybody up there, and she's like, says something along the lines of like, Mr. Amazing is being amazing somewhere else, or something like that. The
repeated theme, if you talk to any of those poor brainwashed minions at Vosamir, they're all just like, oh, Mr. Drummond is amazing. He's amazing.
And then she like turns, and he's like sitting in the dark at his desk,
like Dr.
and she like makes eye contact, and she totally goes in for the handshake, and he's like, no. And so anyway, they start doing this presentation, and he's like, absolutely not. I don't want any humans here. Why are we messing with like all of these things? Like, who cares about people? We're trying to, once you know more about Theo, you get why he doesn't want that angle, but right now she's like, okay, a bunch of psychos. And she's like, whatever you want to do. I just got to stay here till next Friday. You want me to reformat the whole thing? Great. That sounds like it'll take a while.
You want nothing but beakers? On it.
Yes.
On it.
Fine.
By the way, I think it's important to mention, listen, Theo, Mr. Drummond, very handsome, very handsome. The thing that, listener, you need to know, he has short, thick, dark hair with a texture that would curl if he let it grow out. I love a oh, this would curl if you just relax it a little bit, but you're not gonna because you're rigid and controlled.
He's the most dramatically, effusively, wildly handsome man she's ever seen.
And also just the biggest, cold, rigid control freak.
Yes, exactly.
How is she ever going to crack this? How is she ever... I mean...
His brows are sooty. Oh, they do talk a lot about his lips in this book. Can we talk about his lips in this book?
What are bad boy lips?
I don't know. It's kind of like when you see like a woman described and they're talking about like her blowjob lips. You know what I mean?
Is that the male version of blowjob lips?
This, I believe, is like the male version. Because,
Tom Hardy. I assume Tom Hardy. I assume big pouty mouth, like full, just ostentatiously over the top, beautiful lips. On like wasted on a man, but not wasted because they're perfect on a man.
Kind of like when a man has really long eyelashes.
Yeah. Men, share those eyelashes. It's not. You don't need them. You're not using them.
Yeah.
He's also got a scar. Do we see the scar at this scene?
It still has just described, they're a little banged up is what they are described as.
I'm not going to lie, I'm into it.
Which to me means like bleeding. I don't know. I'm fine with it.
Theo Drummond was not in fact bleeding in his office during this marketing presentation.
They're beat up. So, anyway, his extreme hotness is just another assholey aspect of him. Another way he controls people, melts their minds.
And again, I shouldn't love this. He's a hot billionaire. He's a hot, mean billionaire. This should not be my thing. And yet, here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they do this presentation. They're basically like, no, you have to redo everything. And then she's like, okay, fine. But then as they leave, she realizes that like Sasha's like, you were a nightmare.
Also, you're dressed like a whore.
Yes! Female detectives are not welcome here. So, so she goes out and Sasha, throws her under the bus and is making her feel like totally slutty and really it's that... We'll get to Sasha's whole deal.
I was gonna say, I've rarely read a bigger villain than Sasha. Sasha is a villain.
I thought that she was going to be redeemed. Even the second time I read this, I was like, oh, there's going to be a turnaround. Okay. No. But basically she gets written up after this for how she's dressed.
And it's because Sasha noticed Theo Drummond noticing Lizzie, right? And that's what it is, which is just a level
like that Mr. Drummond was so
petty tyrant exercising of your power that I'm really uncomfortable with it. But that's Sasha. And Lizzie at work is the human embodiment of that Pam Beesly from The Office gif. I don't care what they say about me. I just want to eat.
Yes.
That's Lizzie's whole vibe.
Exactly. Yeah, Lizzie, and she's like, I'll do whatever you need me to do, but then Sasha continues to change what she wants her to do. Lizzie's trying to be a team player basically the whole time that she's there, and Sasha makes it as hard as
and she takes Lizzie's good ideas and she shits on Lizzie's bad ideas.
Yes.
And I mean it's just it's a nightmare. What a terrible place to work and a terrible person to work for.
Yeah, and I think that's part of that competition, right? You have to be so competitive to gain your boss's approval or even notice that you have to constantly be throwing other people underneath you in order to get that notice. And it's that's kind of the whole,
every part of my collaborative, empathetic body shudders.
We would shrivel and die.
We would be husks.
It would, yes.
Husks.
It would never work. So that's the end of that chapter. And then we get a shopping scene because now Lizzie's like, I gotta find new clothes. It's gotta be different. So her and her best friend Mia, who their friendship is amazing, they are shopping at a thrift store because we did find out in chapter 1 that Lizzie is so focused on the bonus because there are actual loan sharks.
Again, I should not like this book as much as I do. There is a loan shark named Lenny.
Who wears a pinky ring and has a gun.
Hurt her badly if she doesn't have $16,000 on the weekend that her bonus is due. So Friday is the bonus day after, and then Saturday or Sunday is pay up.
Is pay up day. And we don't know why she has loan sharks after her yet.
It's a weird vibe for Lizzie. A loan shark vibe is a weird vibe for Lizzie. So.
Yeah. You're like, how could this happen? Basically, we're shopping, and she's like, I have to do what I have to do to keep this job. And so Mia picks out these crazy prairie style dresses for her. I had a hard time picturing it.
Okay,
I think what I pictured.
did you picture Target's new line? Because Target for a year has had prairie dresses, and I feel like it's just thrift store Target's new line. That's what I pictured.
But okay, how familiar are you with Sound of Music, the musical?
Quite.
So you know that the dress that Maria is wearing when she arrives at Captain Von Trapp's house.
Yes.
That's what I pictured.
I feel like it was baggier. Wasn't Maria's dress a little better fitted? No, I guess it was pretty. All I see is Christopher Plummer in any of those scenes, ever, always. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of what that was like the material, like a rough, shapeless, like maybe almost wrinkled kind of material anyway. So we find
later
out
on, can I just say, much later, she does say, at least when you're wearing an ugly dress, they have great pockets. So at some point, she's just like, listen, the dress is terrible, but I got pockets.
These pockets, though. So we find out that during this shopping trip, that she has identified Theo Drummond as a sexy man. Mm-hmm. And then her and Mia develop this strategy to deal with him. And it's basically, they will never make eye contact. She will erase all thoughts from her brain and think of gummy bears while they're talking. So she's going to let her eyes go out of focus so that she doesn't seem engaging or appealing in any way.
So she's looking at his nose. She's thinking about gummy bears. She's going to be distant and a little stupid. And this is how she's going to survive to get her bonus.
Yes. So then we also find out during this shopping trip that she's moving away from New York. So she has, because of the loan shark situation, again, we still, we find out that there's a guy in her past named Mason, and he kind of screwed her over, but we don't know how. And then we find out that because of the money troubles and things like that, that she's going to move back to where she's from, which is Fargo, North Dakota. Her parents own pizzeria, which I've never referred to a place as a pizzeria ever in my whole life, but...
yeah, that is not my preferred nomenclature for a pizza place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe that's
Fargo.
a Midwestern thing. Maybe that's a Midwestern thing. Pizzeria! They want a pizzeria.
Don't put that on us.
Out of
Don't
there.
put that on us.
And that she could save up some money so she can move back. So her plan
so she's going to live at home. She's going to cater. She's going to save up money, and she's going to come bursting back in New York in 18 months.
Yeah.
New and improved and ready to spend money.
Roll. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But she's sad. She doesn't want to leave me, and she doesn't want to leave New York. Mm-hmm. She's sad.
She loves New York. I did not find out in this chapter what she was doing prior to being at Vosamir, which is the name of the company. But, Annika does a great job of revealing little personality traits a little bit at a time. Because right now you're already hooked. You're like, what happened? Who's this Mason asshole? What's going on? So I think she did a great job with that.
Oh, hey, HBs. I don't know if you've heard, but we have a Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get over 150 bonus episodes, most of which include Aaron, videos of regular episodes, author hangouts, and so much more. Do you want to hear Aaron and I recap every single episode of Crash Landing on You? What about a little film called Psycho Stripper? Do you want more recaps of ridiculous Thanksgiving and other holiday books and movies? And how do you feel about Naima Simone and I recapping amazing reality TV? All of that and more is on the Patreon. There's so much content at your fingertips as soon as you sign up. Seriously, hours and hours. Anyway, it's patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast if you want to check it out. And of course, that link is in the show notes. Keep being a badass.
So then she's in her prairie dress, Holly Hobby outfit. Who's Holly Hobby?
She's a 70s toy character.
Okay.
She wears ugly prairie
I've seen
dresses.
that reference a lot, and I haven't ever done the research to figure out who it is.
I feel like she was a doll, but she would wear exactly the kind of dresses you're picturing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's back at work. She's kind of regretting it a little bit, but she goes with it, and Sasha immediately dismisses her, which basically is outfit approval, you know what I mean? So she does that, and then they have to go into a meeting because Theo Drummond has come down from on high and shown up at Sasha's cubicle and requested an Instagram strategy.
And I feel like he's one of those people who, when he says the word Instagram, it just feels wrong.
Wrong.
There are people.
The fact that he's even there knowing about Instagram feels wrong.
Who taught you about Instagram? Who taught you that?
Yeah. So he's down there and he's like, yeah, I hated all that Facebook and website stuff you did, but an Instagram strategy is what we need. Exactly.
And of course, Lizzie's in her prairie dress. She thinks about gummy bears. Lie back and think about gummy bears.
Yep.
She goes real vacant and real stupid and just is like, okay, Instagram, sure.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Oh, we do find out in this chapter, before he does come down from on high, we find out about Mason. We find out about that he used her credit cards and ran up a bunch of credit card debt. He signed away some loans in her with her social security card or social security number and in her name. And that is why Lenny, the loan shark, is coming after her. And then he vanished.
And she had to close her beloved bakery.
Yes. So basically we find out that Mason was like taking over more and more like control of the bakery, and then he left. He like vanished with all of her money.
And we find out, this is rolled out over the chapters, but he also was, you mentioned gaslighting earlier. He was gaslighting her. The only reason you're successful is because you're in a good location. Babe, let me just handle this. I'm good at this. So
you
he
don't
just
know anything
just
about accounting.
Genuine nightmare of a human being. Genuine break her down, make her doubt everything nightmare.
So there's $14,000 that's due on Sunday, which is, again, 2 days after her bonus should be in, which I don't think that's how it works, Sarah. I don't think it's like, you made it 30 days. Here's a check for $12,000. Like, I just can't believe it. But hey, we're running with it. It's a plot line.
Vossomir is very efficient. Maybe that direct deposit hits your bank.
As soon as that 30 days hits, cash just rains down on top of your cubicle.
You get into one of those cash boxes where they blow the cash around you and you just grab it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the chaos. I can't imagine I would not do well. Okay. So as soon as she says, she says as soon as she pays off Lenny, she's going to quit Vossomir and then move back to Fargo and save up her money. So then again, Theo Drummond comes down from on high, requests an Instagram strategy. She has identified his smell. Do you remember what it is, Sarah?
It is so weird. It is pepper and melon.
I can't even.
You're the cook. I am not. Are those two tastes that go great together?
I mean, so like you have like a melon with a prosciutto, like that's a thing people do.
But what a strange.
Later it talks about like peppery sweet. So like maybe it's like a sweet, but.
I just want to know that Annika Martin made a bet with herself that she would use a smell generator to put two random smells together and is like, I'm going to make them love this hero.
I do like that it was different than normal romance heroes smell like.
It wasn't musk, it wasn't cut grass, it wasn't leather, it wasn't horses.
Pine. It's always the fucking same like 6 smells for romance heroes. So I did like that it was different. So like,
but it was real different.
It was super unique, yeah.
It just reminded me, where are my 90s girls? What was the Bath and Body cucumber melon?
Oh,
smell?
Cucumber. Oh.
I think maybe that's where some of my association came from. Where I was just like, no, that's not sexy. That's 13-year-old girl at the mall dousing yourself with a sample.
And I didn't even like that
melon.
specific one. I was more, which one was I? Was I a Plumeria? I definitely was a warm vanilla sugar.
Warm vanilla sugar! In college, one of the friend group external people who like hangs around the edges finally over some cafeteria meal said, I hate vanilla. Could all of you bitches stop wearing warm vanilla sugar? And we were just like, no, but you can find it at the table. Warm vanilla
you can pry my warm vanilla sugar from my cold dead hands.
I'm sorry you don't like vanilla. You can go sit over there.
All right. So basically they're like going around and around. They're at this little like cubicle hallway meeting about Instagram strategy, and Sasha's basically like waiting for everyone else to talk and give their ideas. And Lizzie does this thing where she doesn't really give any of her own ideas. She just agrees on purpose. This is on purpose, that she's just agreeing with what everyone else says. Because again, she doesn't want to draw attention to herself. She doesn't want to be the focus. She doesn't want to, stand out. So she does that on purpose.
She just wants that bonus.
Yeah. So then we switch to Theo's perspective.
It's time. It's time to get into Theo's head.
And he is obsessed with puzzles. He's puzzling.
He's puzzling.
The
formula's a puzzle. That's
Lizzie's
what he's been
puzzle.
focused on cracking, but all of a sudden he has the second puzzle in his life, and it's Lizzie.
Yes. So he's working on this. He basically has this anti-hemorrhagic that he did. It's like a gel. But now he wants to make it into a powder that can be like sent to troops or whatever, so that people who are wounded in, wars are not just bleeding out, that they have something that they can use.
And he feels like every day that he doesn't crack this code, people are dying because he hasn't figured out the chemical compound necessary to dehydrate it. And so he takes all of that and internalizes it and beats himself up, and it's
no one has figured it out, so he has to figure it out.
He gonna fix it.
And meanwhile, in the middle of this puzzle, Lizzie Cooper walks in.
In she comes.
Yes. And he is pretty sure he heard her say, Mr. Amazing must be somewhere else, is being amazing somewhere else.
And of course this shocks him because everybody is so deferential. And terrified of him and in awe. And I think he likes her sexy lady detective look. And then when he comes down on high for this Instagram strategy, she is Holly Hobby.
Basically starts referring to her as Turnip Truck after that.
So mean.
Literally referring to a human being as Turnip Truck. Because she's vacant and she's wearing this ugly dress, and he can't believe that he ever even considered her as a possibility.
And he's just so disappointed. He just can't understand how he misread her in that initial.
Yesterday there was a fascinating intensity in her gaze. She felt bright, annoyed, slightly thrilling. And then he
refers to her as having an angry, burning beauty, which chef's kiss. He says there's something activated about her beauty.
Yeah, activated. I loved that.
What a great description.
Yeah. And then now he's got this like sadness, this sense of loss, because that thing that kind of kept him awake then, stopped altogether.
Can I also say he's like, I have sex, I have girlfriends, I have low maintenance girlfriends who know I'm career focused, they know I'm a scientist, they respect it when I blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I doubt that. You're a hot billionaire, sir. They are being very cool.
Yes.
But everybody's like, I hope this hot billionaire falls in love with me. There's no way his girlfriends are all low maintenance. Oh, you're a scientist. It's fine. No.
Yeah.
No.
So he leaves this meeting. He's so pissed. And Sasha is like still walking with him. And he's like, ugh. And she's like, I just have a few questions. And he was like, you need to walk and talk with me then because I'm over this. And basically he's asking about, like, okay, what's the deal with Miss Cooper? And she was like, oh, she's so incompetent. She's been written up twice, which I don't know what the other write-up was for. But already Sasha is saying she's not going to last through probation. So we as the reader know it's not going to happen.
What a bold choice to shit talk an underling like that to the boss, though. I
honestly think it's part of the culture.
Oh God, makes my skin crawl. Yeah.
So basically, she's asking for a due date, and he's like, I don't give a fuck because I made up the whole thing just to see Lizzie Cooper.
And she's a turnip truck. I'm out.
Yeah. So then we find out that in this conversation with Sasha, we find out that he needs a new wake-up call person because he is not using alarm clocks. He's not using lights that automatically turn brighter throughout the day. He's using actual wake-up calls. And basically, he needs a system where they call and immediately he usually hangs up, and then they have to keep calling until he is firmly awake. Because he is such a dickhead in the morning that all of the wake-up call people have quit in the city of New York and internationals.
All of the wake-up call people. But I think he needs that interaction, right? He needs to actually have like a call and response.
Correct. Yeah. Otherwise, yes. So then we're back at Lizzie, and Sasha has appeared at her cubicle. And now the problem is that she didn't make eye contact with Mr. Drummond.
What a nightmare for Lizzie. She's just like, what? Please just let me live.
She used this like gummy bear strategy. Now she's in trouble because she didn't interact enough with him. And I don't even understand what's happening. And so it's like, no matter what, Sasha's going to hate her. And she's obviously threatened by her because she's good at what she does. And so Lizzie has to be eliminated because it's threatening to Sasha's space at Vosmere. Then Sasha is like, hey, I have this job for you. You can't fuck it up. You have to get this wake-up call from Mr. Drummond. It's not going to be hard. So then Lizzie has to spend the rest of her day trying to research wake-up call companies. And we find out that not only is it very hard to get one on such short notice, but many of the companies have dealt with Mr. Drummond in the past, and they are no longer willing to work with them.
That would be a pass from
Yes.
all the wake-up companies in New York, the greater New York area, and in fact, the continental U.S.
They find one company in Canada that is willing to do it. Lizzie has found one company. She sets up a call for Monday, and then she sets up a call for herself at 4:10, and then Monday morning at 4:10 comes around, and there's no call.
Because she, of course, sets her own alarm to be awake at 4:10 to see if her call comes in to know if his call's going to come in.
Correct. She's good at her job. So she basically is like, I don't know what to do. She had been talking to her roommate over the weekend about it and stressing about it, and her roommate, Mia, gets up and is like, finds her in the kitchen, drinking coffee and like panicking about what to do about this wake up call. So then Mia dials it as a joke. Like Lizzie thinks that it's a joke.
She
yeah, pretends to dial it. Yeah, and then it's a joke. And then Lizzie grabs the phone and is like, "Wake up, motherfucker," because she thinks it's a joke. But then it's actually a real call that is actually calling. And Mr. Drummond has picked up. Yes, exactly. So she says, "Wake up, motherfucker. It's time to rise and shine, okay? It's another day full of promise and possibility, another opportunity for you to step over whatever people you step over on your way to wherever the hell it is you go at this weirdly stupid hour." And she goes on and then realizes that he has been connected this whole time.
Yes, but and so Mia's just melting down in the background.
Yes.
But she's just like, oh, the whole world shivers in admiration. The birds fall from the trees when you approach.
Yeah.
I mean, just unloads on him.
Yes,
in
exactly.
a beautiful way.
Let's all of her pent up aggression.
And his response is, "What?" And she's just like, "Oh God."
So he tries to call back and she does not accept the call. And she is basically going into work pretty sure that she's getting fired today.
Yeah.
She's 90% sure that this is the end. So she gets in her prairie dress and she's debating not even going in because she's so sure that she's going to be fired right away.
The only saving grace is she does have a burner phone because she doesn't have enough credit to get an actual smartphone linked to her name. So the phone she uses and she used for that is not linked to her in any way. But otherwise, he's going to complain and Sasha's going to come down on her and that's going to be it. No bonus.
So they come up with an idea that she needs to find Mr. Drummond first, that she needs to go find him, explain that it was her roommate and she's really sorry, and that even if she loses it, at least maybe that's her last ditch effort to do it. So she goes into work and she's thinking of all these speeches and stuff like that. She goes and sees Sasha right away and is like, "Do you know? Are you aware what's going on right now?" And Sasha doesn't acknowledge her in any way. So she's like, "Okay, I'm safe." So then she's trying to figure out a way that she can like sneak up to Mr. Drummond's office.
Penthouse, dark, cave office.
Yeah. And she's like, so she tries to figure that out, but he beats her to it and comes to Sasha's cubicle. And like Lizzie's in the background, like, okay, he's right there. And he basically is like talking to Sasha and he's like, "Oh yeah, the wake up call service that you arranged, like, what do you know about them?"
Not that I'm asking for any reason. I'm just, asking.
Yeah. It was like unorthodox. And basically Sasha, since she was supposed to do this herself and then threw this responsibility onto Lizzie, is now having to kind of like fake it and be like, "Okay, well, do you not like the unorthodox service? I can..."
That I definitely picked out myself.
Exactly. I noticed. So anyway, he's like, "Oh no, I guess it'll do for now." And then Sasha is like saying that, like, "Lizzie, you finally did something right. Did you get this off of Craigslist? Like, where did you find this?" Like, and the idea of giving a billionaire's personal cell phone to a Craigslist
found
ad?
On Craigslist. I assume any wake-up call service is somehow designed to find and murder you if you find it on Craigslist.
I think so, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's how
good God.
murder for hire schemes start. Yeah.
Yeah, so then Lizzie's like, "Okay, well, do you want me to research it? Or, like, I can look into it some more?" And, like, she's like, "No, just, like, keep doing what you're doing," or whatever. So, like, that she's bought herself at least one more day. And she comes home and they, like, her and Mia, like, talk about it. But then she has to keep calling back day after day. Like, now she has to keep being the person to wake him up. You know what I mean? So she now knows, like, okay, well, I got to keep up this charade at least until the 30-day probation period
Friday.
is over. So she wakes up at 4 the next morning. She listens to Queen Latifah's Wrath of My Madness, which I loved as a reference, by the way. Yes. After reading this again, I went and listened to, like, Queen Latifah's greatest hits.
Did you pump up this podcast by listening to it?
Not this morning, but I definitely made my children listen to Queen Latifah on the way to school yesterday.
I love it. Get them ready for the day. That's how they should start.
Mm-hmm. So she calls him again. Wake up, you stupid motherfucker.
People are waiting for whatever annoying bullshit you have in store for them.
Yes. So that really is your technique, he says. It wasn't a fluke. And then they go back and forth, and they have this chemistry. They have this back and forth, snappy kind of thing. He's obviously trying to find out more about her, and she's kind of trying to put him off and still insult him along the way, because it's like, why not when she has the opportunity? You know what I mean?
And she keeps turning it around on him and saying, why do you deserve this? Why should you? She goes on the defensive with him in a way that nobody ever does, in a way that I never could. In that scenario, I'd just be like, oh my God, all right. But she keeps pushing back against him in a way that he obviously loves.
Yes, he loves, and no one ever does it in his life. His sister probably does it a little bit, but not to this level. They have a relationship, but it's not the kind where she would criticize him, to his face or anything like that. Yeah. Lizzie is now saying, oh, there's something wildly sexy about this demanding attitude. That's happening. Basically, she has this thing, though, that once it starts to go too far, she shuts it down by giving a made up time and temperature.
Well, because he lectures her. He says, here's how a wake-up call works. You get the time and the temperature, and that's it. You're terrible at this. And she's just like, you don't tell me how to do my job.
Yeah.
So, when he pushes it too far, he knows that she's going to hang up when she says the time is, and then she just makes up a temperature.
Yes. And then she hangs up immediately, and then she hangs up this time, and she's like, I'm a little turned on by this.
Well, and I will say, the description of hearing him breathe, she hears a suck in of breath, frustration and vulnerability. And I don't know. Now, listen, how far have we gotten into this without talking about, I'm gonna bring him up, Jonathan Bailey? We're all primed for angry, agitated breathing after watching Bridgerton season 2. And
grumbling.
So when she describes this vulnerable, angry breath, I was just like, go on.
This is exactly what I've been looking for. This is probably why you love this book so much.
Probably. It's Jonathan Bailey's fault.
So then she distracts herself from how turned on she is by setting up some blog posts. She's still been keeping her business blog and her business Instagram going with just personal projects.
Well, and we haven't mentioned her bakery is themed around weird niche cookies.
Yes.
So whatever the weird celebration of the day is, Cookie Madness, she makes cookies to celebrate National Robin Day or National
Ferret Day. It's April 2nd. That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow's National Ferret Day.
I love a ferret, Sarah. I just love
I want to make
much.
Ferret cookies now.
Can I tell you a really quick ferret story?
Always.
This guy I used to hang out with, not in a sexy way, just an actual guy friend that I used to hang out with in college. He had a ferret named Ash, which was a reference to a fantasy book. So maybe if you know what that is, then you can tell me. But
I would have assumed the Evil Dead franchise, but continue.
Oh, I don't think so. Shout out to Ben, wherever you are in the world. So Ash, we would go over there and we would smoke a lot of weed and drink a lot of natty ices, sometimes at the same time. And we played this game called Wizard Staff. I'm not sure if you have ever played Wizard Staff. It's basically of cans of beer. And once you finish your can of beer, you duct tape it to the bottom of your fresh beer. So as you keep going, your staff grows taller and taller. And when you're smoking weed at the same time as playing Wizard Staff, you just have to sit down after a while and not play Wizard Staff anymore, not be standing. And this ferret took off with the Wizard Staff of cans and started running down the hallway with it. It was tracing behind her, just cans clinking against the wall, and she hid it. She would hide things under his bed. And so she dragged all of the Wizard Staffs under the bed. So he had all these beer cans under his bed.
This story is so good on so many levels about young Natalie. about the wizard staff culture, about the ferret owner culture.
Yes. Yeah. One time when we were hanging out, we had to cut open his rental sofa, the sofa that came with his rental. We had to cut open the bottom to extract his ferret from the bottom of this sofa. So many things, so much mischief.
Do you want to play wizard staff the next time you're over?
God, Sarah, I don't know if I don't.
Listen,
maybe I'll play it with NA beer.
Okay, listener. Natalie came to my house, left beer behind. I was excited because I was like, "Oh, Nat left beer." It was weeks later. I was like, "Oh, cool, I could." And
she texted me and she was like, "Hey, I hope it's okay that you drank those." I was like, "Joke's on you. They have no alcohol in them." But yeah, Frank. It's totally fine.
Cruel, Frank.
I slowly change out all of Sarah's alcohol with fake alcohol.
Just start pour a little bit more of that vodka down the drain. Put a little bit of water in every time you come over.
I think you would know though, because all of like the alcohol, pretend alcohol. So I drink this one called Seedlip that it's like a spice version, so it tastes really good with like grapefruit or like citrus or whatever. But one of them is made with like pea shoots and hay, and it smells exactly like it's made with pea shoots and hay, Sarah. And so you would know immediately upon opening it that this is not what you were looking for.
What are the odds that the next Annika Martin hero smells like pea shoots and hay?
What are the odds that the person that came up with the fake liquor that has made of pea shoots and hay has a handlebar mustache?
Oh, very high. He has arm garters that he wears unironically. Yes.
Definitely.
Hey HBs, I started an Etsy store. Did you know? Right now, it's full of all the St. Vincent items you need, because St. Vincent is thoughtful and cozy all year round. We've got a book sleeve to keep your books, planners, e-readers, or really anything else safe when you're on the go. The inside is fuzzy, and they feel so incredibly lush in your hands. I went round and round with the manufacturers to make sure I had just the right thickness. Those feature art of St. Vincent and Evie during their carriage adventure that was painted by the amazing Mayara Faraz on one side, and then I created a St. Vincent Would Always wreath on the other side that has a bunch of little Easter egg items in it. There's a St. Vincent Would Always warm brick enamel pin. It's like, if you know, you know. I designed a special edition Marriage of Convenience candle that is specific to Devil in Winter, with the help of HB Jen at Post Pouring Company. It combines dark amber for St. Vincent and rosewood for Evie, and it smells so delicious. It's hard to even wrap my brain around. So if you want to treat yourself, or be the St. Vincent you want to see in the world by getting a care package for a friend, check out our Etsy store. The link is in the show notes.
That was Ferret Day.
Oh yeah, the cookies. Yes. I want to hear every ferret story you have. Please.
I think that's all of them.
It was very good though. It's very good.
Okay, so she does these little like cookies, and then Mason came along and trashed her whole bakery.
And she has never talked publicly about what happened. So her bakery closed. It devastated her fans, of which there were many.
Yeah, they knew that it closed. They didn't really get why.
But she didn't. She wanted it to be a place of joy. She didn't want to be honest about what happened because she didn't want to bring everybody down. So it's just a mystery as to why Cookie Madness closed. That's how she wants it.
And she did file charges. Like she did, when Mason stole everything, she did call the police. She did all the things she was supposed to do. But unfortunately, although, if you have insurance, don't you have insurance for things like this?
Do you have insurance from swindling? I don't know.
Anyway, moving on.
HBs with experience in this, let us know.
I would think that, and maybe she didn't have, you have to have business liability insurance. You have to, in order to be in business, especially with a location. But that you might not have...
Against unscrupulous business partners.
Correct.
I don't know.
That might be an extra policy. Who knows? Maybe an umbrella
Do you think
policy.
you're in business with scam artists? Buy this insurance.
Just in case. Oh, man. What about insurance for just in case you get embezzled?
Embezzlement insurance. We should go into that. Let's start that as a business.
Me and
we can
seems
underwrite
like
that.
It would work.
Yeah.
It's actually nothing fishy, absolutely nothing fishy about us. Okay, I have another question. She's going into work. She has butterflies in her stomach. They're not thinking about how nervous she is to go to work or whether she's going to get fired. They are thinking about Theo Drummond's bad boy lips. That's the only thing the butterflies in her stomach are thinking about. They're thinking about lab coats, is what it says specifically. And I have a question about lab coats. If you wear your lab coat everywhere, is it even effective anymore? Isn't your lab coat supposed to help keep outside things in? And you know what I mean?
I also had a similar question because I get a sense that Mr. Drummond, when he's in his penthouse cave, is working on like dry erase board formulas and not working with actual chemicals. I thought the lab coat was to keep chemicals off of your under things.
That too.
So
a lab coat is to provide protection of skin and personal clothing from incidental contact and small splashes.
Are you reading that,
And
or did
dry
you
erase
just channel that?
No, I did read it. It's also to provide a removable barrier in the event of an incident involving a spill or splash of hazardous substances.
I feel like he's standing at a dry erase board writing a beautiful mind formulas.
Everything we talked about, he's never been in a lab.
Yeah. He must do chemistry at some point. He must get out the beakers and mix things at some point. We never see it. So yes, I don't quite know why the lab coat when he is dry erasing.
Yeah. It does become fetishized in this book.
I'll allow it. There's a very good scene later in this book with a lab coat that I did not hate. So
yeah, no, absolutely not. So it just seemed like the lab coat was more of like a costume.
But if you wear it all the time, it almost and if he was a different kind of billionaire, it would be a costume. But this is not a guy who's thinking about his public persona, right? Mm-hmm. If he was a different guy, he would be wearing it to be like, I am scientist. Yeah. But that's not this guy. Yeah. So I don't know. So, maybe, you know what? Maybe it's a routine. Maybe that's how, like, I have a playlist that I start when I'm writing, and the playlist that's first song says, it time to work now. Yes. Maybe when he puts on the lab coat, it time to work now. Like, maybe that's how. Maybe
that's true. Yeah. Good call. I'm just being a bitch about it.
No, I love it.
So we find out when she gets into work that Theo Drummond has requested an extra call at 9:20 a.m. He would like the wake-up call service to do an emergency. Only. Yeah, this operator only needs to call me at 9:20 a.m. So then, and they're like, Sasha's like, whatever the fuck, just do it. He's asking for it, just do it. Don't ask questions about it.
Sasha's like, I don't know, he's gonna take a nap. Yeah. Just call him.
So then she sets up a whole, that she like pretends to call, and then she comes up with this like, oh no, operator 7 is just like book solid for the whole day, just can't do it, they real said busy. No, there's and then she was like, I can ask for a different operator. And no, Mr. Drummond only wants operator 7. So then, we find out he's going to be very disappointed. And then we're back to Theo, and he gets the call that operator 7 is not taking any more people onto her docket. And he is fucking pissed. He stabs his pencil into his desk over
He stabbed his pencil into his desk.
Yes. Hard enough to make a divot in wood. Desk. Yeah.
What is that pencil
really
made
sturdy
of?
Pencil, yeah, exactly. It's made of steel. Some steel pencils only. So anyway, he's like, this has just increased the puzzle madness for him. He can't figure it out. So then he tries to text her to say, your thermometer is broken. It wasn't 40 last night, because after he hangs up, he realizes she fucking made the temperature up. It's not.
He's just so enraged.
So anyway, she has blocked him though. He cannot text her. He cannot text her. He cannot call her. He has been blocked. Move. Yes.
God, what a power move.
Mm-hmm. And he's just like, her words are running through his head. Women never make me lose my focus. Not ever. I enjoy sex as much as the next guy, but in context of respect and rationality, not whatever these calls are. So, and then he realizes that not only does he want to kiss her, he wants to slap her on her bare ass too, Sarah.
And that is not a thing that he is usually into.
Ever done. Yeah.
But suddenly spanking Operator 7?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Super into it. So he is just a whirl. So...
Did you just really pronounce the H really hard on whirl?
Sure
Amazing.
did. So Lizzie goes back home and she, is not sleeping. She's just like, rattled by the fact that she's still being chased by loan sharks. She's rattled by that. And she's also rattled that she's going to have to talk to Theo Drummond again at 4:30 in the morning. And he answers... Because Operator 7 is always on time, bitches. That's what she says.
Things escalate on this call. This is their third call. And things are about to get out of control.
It's the third date. You know what happens on the third date.
I think we all do.
Yep. She asks, she gives him her same, wake up motherfucker kind of thing. Here he is, folks, answering on the first ring. Who's the best wake up call girl in the city? And he is like, you hung up on me. Do you know who this is? And she's like, are you serious? And he goes, do I need to ask it again? And
she's just like, maybe.
Yeah. So then things kind of go back and forth a little bit. And then we end up having some phone sex, Sarah.
He of course he does the, what are you wearing?
And she's like, I cannot even believe that you just asked me this.
But I'm also into it.
Yeah.
And he starts talking about, he's like, I want to picture what I'd be ripping off of you.
Yes.
And when she says, I don't know that I've ever had, kind of anybody rip, he was just like, oh, if you have to ask what qualifies as a man ripping your clothes off, then a man has never ripped off your clothes.
Happened to you. Yes, exactly.
That was just me slamming my palms down on the desk.
And also, he wants to imagine her in something girly. He wants it to be pink. He wants it to be like the idea that it's like a delicate, small thing that he can just shred. Mm-hmm. Have you ever ripped a fabric, Sarah?
No,
on purpose?
Not on purpose. No. Have you?
No, it's very hard to rip fabric.
I feel like it would be. Like it would be. If you had it start, like if it was, you have to have a start cut to.
Yeah. But it's like, especially on like a seam, that'd be really hard to do. So he must be very strong. His hands must be very strong.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. Let's talk about
absolutely how strong your hand. Well, have you seen the guys who can rip the phone books in half?
Yes, I have.
That's probably. I bet they can rip fabric.
Oh, I bet they could.
I mean, there probably are ladies that rip phone books in half too, but I haven't seen those videos. I've only seen the ones. With
I feel fairly confident we can find all of that on TikTok.
I also feel pretty confident that like it's more of like a man thing, like a masculine testosterone-y thing to even concern yourself with wanting to rip a phone book in half. I've never
wanted to rip a phone book in half. I am from a pretty small town, so our phone books are pretty slender, so I probably could do that. But that's not the kind of phone books those dudes are ripping.
Yes. No, those are the big guys. Those are the Chicago regional ones. Okay, we find out that, oh my God, there's a line in this that I absolutely hated, Sarah.
I have one a little bit later, not in this one. What's your line?
Hold on, I have to find it. But basically, they go back and forth, basically talking about how great it would be, and like he realizes that he can hear her hand sliding over her body, and that he wants her to tell him how wet she is for him, and like she has started to finger her clit during this, and he can tell. He knows.
Yeah, his hearing is very good. Obviously.
Yes. I have to, this is the line that I hated. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
She says, "You are such a pig." And he says, "Oh, I am an utter animal. Sex with me is a dirty, savage affair. Utterly uncivilized. It's the opposite of civilized." And I was like, that's what uncivilized means.
You didn't appreciate the extra explanation he did.
Is the opposite of civilized.
Well, and you'll notice when this line comes back later in the book,
it comes back so much, and I'm like, no.
They don't include that last part when it comes back because it was so dumb.
I know. I was like, buddy, you're supposed to be so smart. I don't.
She makes him listen. All his brains are gone. They're gone.
So
they're just,
she gets really close to coming.
and then
basically,
realizes
in her mind, she thinks, if you come, he'll win.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so she's in the middle of this. He's like, sure that she's almost there. And then he refers to it as doing yourself.
Yeah. That's, yeah, listen, everybody has their own language when it comes to sex and dirty talk, and his is a little, I mean, that's not, all right, okay,
but
Theo.
then she uses it too. I'm doing myself. Anyway. So anyway, she gets really close. She is like almost to do it. And then she's like, no, I cannot.
Well, and he says the exact wrong thing, because he's been telling her, like, yeah, I'm an asshole, but I would make it so good for you, which didn't hate.
I'll take what I want.
I'll take what I want, and it'll be so good. And it's when he says, I'll take what I want, that she's just like, Mason.
Yes.
Mason.
Exactly. This is reminding her of like the asshole-ish, like all for himself attitude that Mason had.
And she says she hasn't had any kind of desire to, do herself.
Yep. I mean, that's what we're going with for this episode.
Since Mason left, that she just, it hasn't been, she just lost all aspects of that, trust, all of that. So when he says, I'll take what I want, she's just like, oh, nope. Close the shop.
And he's like, wait, what happened? And she's like, what happened is you're awake. The weather is cloudy. It's mild 42 degrees at JFK. And then she hangs up.
Self-control, man.
Yeah. And so we're in Theo's head at this point, and he is, I'm guessing, hard as fucking steel.
Yeah.
He has not touched himself during this whole experience because he wants to focus on her. Yep, exactly. But now he is like bereft because she's gone. And he's like realizing that he does not like the feeling of her going immediately from this call and calling other people. He hates that. He's like, this is insane. I'm a chemist, not a caveman. And he's like, I don't care what she looks like. I don't care who she is. She's the only thing I want. And now he's like, I need to find her right now. And then that's where we end that chapter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That escalated quickly. That was my only thought. I expected more calls before we got to this point, but nope. Call 3. Let's do it.
Call 3. And it was the chemistry had been building, the antagonization had been building. So it was, but like, Sarah, we're not even halfway through this book.
Okay.
We need to go.
Fine. I want to talk about every chapter though.
But this is kind of where things start speeding up a little bit, because like a lot of that tension and back and forth and the will they won't they kind of has been happening. So she does in fact go into the shower after this, finish herself off, does herself in the shower.
With the nozzle, with the shower nozzle, for the record.
With the shower nozzle. And yeah, so she realizes like she made herself come thinking about him, which she was not intending to do, but then it did in fact happen. And she gets into work that day after this whole experience happened this morning. And Sasha's like, I need to see you ASAP. And she's just like
I am fired.
But then she just wants to have a meeting about IT. Like it was nothing that had to do with the wake up calls or anything like that. It had to do with like the new Instagram project and website projects that they're working on. And she's like constantly looking over to her shoulder for a while, and then realizes he walks in and she doesn't need to look over her shoulder because she could just like feel it happening as he walked in. Yeah,
she's doing some kind of tabbing project.
Yes.
And when Theo walks past her, he's actually like, oh, Sasha said she was an idiot, so I guess she's just got her compiling papers that must suit her skill level.
Yeah, they must need 2 people to sort papers.
This is the chapter where he is so confused because he thought she was different, and he looks at her and he's like, this something doesn't fit here. Mm-hmm. And this is one of my favorite things in literature. When you're pining for the same person and you don't know it.
Yes.
So he's pining for Operator 7 and he's looking at Turnip Truck Lizzie and it's just like, this is not who I thought she was. I thought she was different. I have Operator 7 on my mind, and it's just like, oh baby, it's the same person. You're going to find out. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. So that's what this whole scene.
He basically comes up to reception. He's like, I need to talk to Sasha right now. And so the receptionist calls Sasha up, and they have this whole discourse about the wake-up call girl right in front of Lizzie. And Lizzie's like, huh! And then, then Sasha, again, has to pretend that she knows what he's talking about and kind of has to put Theo off because Theo's like, just give me the contact information. And Sasha's like,
it's at my computer. My computer is down, so I can get it for you.
But it's not. And then he's like, well, go get it right now. I'll wait. And she's like, oh, well, I'm offline and AT's working on it. And he's like, well, why wouldn't you have done that before you came up here? Then it would have been done by the time you got back. And she's like, what a great idea that would have been. And then, so she has to put her off. And then she just rips into Lizzie because Lizzie has made her look like an idiot. Or whatever.
Sasha, a villain.
So then Lizzie has to come up because they are trying to get the contact information for this wake-up call service. Theo wants to deal with them directly. So Lizzie has to create a business, create an email, create a PayPal account, create invoices, all sorts of things. But she has set it up because she doesn't want to actually, get that money, girlfriend. You need the money. She doesn't feel comfortable taking the money that they would pay for a wake-up call service, which probably could have been $14,000. This guy doesn't give a shit. She could have charged him
whatever she wanted.
Yes, exactly.
So she sets it up to go to a sea turtle
rescue.
Yeah.
And later on, Sarah, she wears a turtle shirt that's got rhinestones surrounding the outside of the turtle.
Why would you put your heroine in a sparkly... No, that was the only point of this book.
She
where I was
also
just like,
has turtle posters in her bedroom.
She loves a turtle. She does.
She's either 13 or a 55-year-old suburbanite mom. Those are the only two options where you would wear a rhinestone turtle shirt.
This is true.
So she comes up with this company called Hello Morning, and then she's like, oh yeah, didn't you get it from Craigslist? And she's like, oh yeah, I did get it from Craigslist, but I can't find the listing. But then, so she has to make the listing. So then when she sends the listing, it comes from, it says it's posted today, right at this moment. So then, she has to answer all sorts of weird questions about that. And so it's kind of a very thin story that she's come up with. I love that
she sends it along to the people looking for it and is like, good luck dealing with these jerks. The service is terrible.
Yikes, huh?
She really does. It's not crime exactly, but she really does a good job fabricating all of this.
Yeah,
it's clever. It's fast
mere
thinking.
Minutes.
I adore this woman. This sparkly turtle wearing.
I write back to, she has to send it to accounting. I write back to Think Accounting. I sign it Catherine Mayhold, comptroller. I don't know why I choose comptroller, but why not? I had phone sex with my boss at 4:30 in the morning, and now I'm in a prairie dress impersonating wake up call service. Just another day of Vossmere. And so basically, after she has concocted this whole fake company, the company gets an email from Theo Drummond, CEO of Vossmere, and it says, I'm interested in contracting with you to hire the operator I'm currently working with as a dedicated provider for me and my business. Money is no object. Get that money, girlfriend.
Ask for $14,000 and run.
Yeah, please call me at your earliest convenience. If I was Lizzie, I send back, yes, definitely. To secure her for the whole year, it's going to be 20 G's.
Pay it now.
We will do it. And then fucking make calls at 4:30 every morning and pay off Letty. What are you doing? I mean, crime. She would be doing crime, I suppose.
Would she?
I mean, I don't think so.
If she's going to provide the service.
She came up with the business on her own.
Yeah, that's her business.
So, anyway, that book would have ended entirely differently, wouldn't it have? So anyway, she sends an email back from the company that says hey, we appreciate your business, but we can't cancel on these other clients. So we understand. Thank you for your understanding.
Which just makes him more and more obsessed because he's just she has so many other, is she doing this with the other clients?
Exactly.
That she's so busy with.
Because it doesn't crumble down yet. It hasn't crumbled yet. And she gets home from work and Mia is there with peanuts and some wine. They eat peanuts. This is the second peanut reference in this book, which I thought was very weird. Peanuts in the shell.
Yeah. It's why she would be thinking about it. That's why she would make that analogy earlier.
Yeah, I guess
apparently
so.
They're shelled peanuts women. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So then she comes, like, Mia is like, can tell that something's weird. And she was like, how was the wake up call this morning? And Lizzie was like, it was totally fine.
It was fine. It was normal. It was good. It was good. That's
so
enough.
she does end up telling her about the extremely uncivilized opposite of civilized.
It's the opposite of civilized.
phone sex that she had, and Mia just fucking loves that and is gonna make it into a cross stitch because Mia is a cross stitcher and does a lot of weird, funny cross stitches. You know, so Lizzie's like, I'm gonna do tomorrow. It's gonna be short and sweet. I'm gonna just wake up, call him, and then that's it, in and out. And then, but she's like going to sleep, and she remembers his line that says, "You and that smart mouth of yours need to be taught a lesson." And she is energized by it.
How would you sleep? How would you sleep with that in your head?
You couldn't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I also would not sleep well knowing I had to be up at 4:30. It would be like having to catch an early airplane. Like, you do not sleep the night before you have to get up at 3 to leave for the
airport. I wake up like every 30 minutes being like, is now the time? Is now the time?
That's how I would be if I had to be up at 4:30.
So she wakes up and she's calling Theo and she's like, you have to stop contacting the company. You are getting me in trouble. They're like, it is, you know, you need to stop doing this. And he's like, fine, I'll stop. Just meet me for dinner. And he's like on this thing to try to get him to meet her over and over again, which is like, that's tough. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and is this also the chapter where he does, to use an HB term, a big protect? Where he is just like, are you having trouble? Do you have a boyfriend, a husband? Like, who's giving you? Why do I have to stop? Is your boss bad? Tell me why you need me to stop contacting you. I will fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was just like no.
Yeah. And she was like, you cannot talk to me about any of my personal life. You cannot, you know. And he's basically like, give me one actual valid reason why we can't meet. You've been thinking about me. You pictured me while you got yourself off after our last phone call. And it's like, you know, she's like, of course you would think that. But then she's like, yeah, but I actually did, though.
Yeah, you're right.
And so then they have phone sex again.
To completion this time.
Yes. For her, I don't believe completion for him.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
And she tells him, he asks how she likes to be bitten.
Yes.
Is it nipple bitten? Bitten.
I think just bitten in general.
And she says a tiny little bit of pain, just enough to surprise me, no more. And that comes back later, so I guess mark that.
Yes, we talked more about ripping off clothing.
And that he's an asshole, but he's going to make it good for her.
Yes.
This is their dynamic.
Yes, exactly. Like, he's an asshole, but he's her asshole, which is, I mean, not really. That's a quote from Sex and the City.
Okay, first of all, do these men actually exist? These men who say these perfect things all the time. I've just read Tessa Bailey, and then there's this, and I'm just like, where are these men? Where are they hanging out? Where?
These men are written by women. That's why they exist.
These men are written by women.
And on that note, we're going to break for this week. Tune in next week for part 2. And patrons, don't forget, that's in your feed right now. So, keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love mischievous ferrets and accidentally pranking your pals with NA beverages. Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.